Well, let's look at the economy. The US national debt hits a historic high over the last week or so, $34 trillion.
Pretty high there, the highest ever before in our history, $34 trillion. But I think we should also look at what causes this debt. It's basically tax cuts on the wealthiest segments of our population, like the $1.7 trillion tax cut that Donald Trump engineered when he was in office in 2017. That actually blows up the deficit, but also spending, excessive and wasteful spending in certain areas add to the deficit. So it's tax cuts and wasteful spending. And there's been a lot of waste in the military-industrial complex where weapons are procured by the lobbyists for big companies, that are producing these weapons, and they get a cost-plus contract with the government. The government says, you know what, we're going to contract you to build this particular weapon system, but in the fine print, it's also signed on to if the cost rises, the cost of production rises through cost of material, or if there's a delay in delivery of the weapons, we'll go along with that and we'll sign off on it. And this is when the defense contractors keep charging more and more money for things that are supposed to produce for less and produce on time. It's not just defense and military, but there's also waste in other areas too that have to be looked at carefully and brought under control. And we got to stop these massive tax cuts on the wealthiest segments of our society and big corporations. That also drives up deficit. And deficit is not good. That much deficit is not good for the country.
Finally, the border crisis. House Speaker Mike Johnson led a delegation of 64 Republicans to the Mexican border, and this was all about putting pressure on Joe Biden.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be so dramatic by getting these Republicans there to, with the news media covering it. And it's supposed to put pressure on Biden to be able to do something about the border, where many people are coming in now and seeking asylum, but thousands of them are coming in. We have to determine who are legitimately qualified for asylum and who are not, because the U.S. has signed on to the asylum agreement, asylum law, the international law, and American law is part of that we have to grant hearings for asylums when people are seeking it, political asylum. But to do that, you have to have more judges, immigration judges hired, and have them at the border, have them be able to interview people right away. And that has to be made streamlined. But instead, the Republican Congress is not spending the money for the kind of things that we need to secure the borders. Instead, they're just using that as a bargaining chip in foreign policy and saying they won't fund some of our foreign policy needs unless we fix that. And they're not really providing the money to fix that border problem by providing more judges, more border patrol agents, et cetera. And also looking at what's causing these people to leave some of these countries and come over here. We have to help with some of the economic development in those countries to keep them be able to work in those countries and to not let things destabilize them to be wanting to come here so much.
Absolutely. Peter, good to chat. We'll do it many times through the course of a busy 2024.
Look forward to it, Tim. Thanks.